Hello, this is Dawn Stone, owner and operator of the Conflict Chick LLC. We are a speaking, consulting, and coaching business that affords leaders the opportunity to learn new skills, build confidence, build competence, and also build connections by leveraging conflict resolution. And so today we're talking about DEI measurements in business. A lot of times people say, hey, I don't even know what this DEI work is about or how it's going to benefit me. I'm going to take 10 minutes today to give you a few tips to help you think about what it will take to start your DEI journey and to help you and your agency get in alignment. So, first, our objectives are to go over the DEI trends that exist. We're going to also talk about how to leverage technology and create strategies and metrics for yourself. As you can see, I'm using my avatar today. And then, third, we'll talk about ways to manage success for yourself in 4 simple steps. Why does DEI matter? What we know, diversity, equity, inclusion is a positive asset to any agency, any organization, any person, because what it does is it improves and increases employee engagement as well as retention. It also enhances the company culture and the identity of your agency and helps build a good, solid reputation that people want to be a part of. And then, third, it has a direct impact on the leaders themselves. So, once we have shared language, know how we want to show up and how we want to support ourselves as well as other stakeholders, including our customers, it makes it all worth the money and the investment and the time because we all deserve to work in organizations that we all co create that are helpful and holistic and harmonious instead of harmful. So let's look at the top 3 challenges that I want to focus on today. There are many more, but we're just going to isolate in this short period of time to ensure that we drive home the 4-step plan. Number one is lack of diversity in leadership positions. Regardless of what industry you look at, especially in westernized culture, what we see is a lack of diversity at the top. For instance, in nonprofit and corporate settings in the United States alone, those are held at 80 to 95% of all the leaders are people who are non-minority. So how can we change this when we have the majority of the people who are working from marginalized communities of color or marginalized classes and locations and educational attainment? So we want to address the number 2 thing, which is implicit biases, microaggressions, macroaggressions, and just differences where we are different in our values, different in the way that we conduct ourselves, different generationally, and how all of these impact workplace interactions. In fact, we have 4 generations right now actively working in our communities. So that's people from 16 to 80. So, how do we handle that? How do we manage that effectively? And how can we leverage DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, to make it possible so we all can belong and all be a part of this harmonious community? It's by addressing that third challenge, inconsistent implementation of DEI policies. Some organizations don't even know what it is. We cannot agree on language. So where there is no agreement and alignment, there is nothing but chaos. So when we look at what has happened in 2000 and now 3 to 4 years later, people are still trying to figure out what it is, the inconsistency and implementation of those policies has created a fix for us in our industries, which we are seeing DEI people and departments being dismissed at an astronomical number today because people and organizations are unclear about how to move forward. So I'm going to talk today about how we can tie those metrics that you have in your business for productivity, for financial stability, for sustainability. You want to have DEI embedded in those instead of having them as a ride along. Because when you treat something like a program ends. This is part of your strategic plan, which should be integrated because it deals with people, policy, and position, which are the top three challenges we see today. So let's talk about how we can effectively overcome some of these barriers. Number one, the political and societal norms that are out here today show us that diversity, equity, and inclusion has a very steep hill to climb. Although we know by the research that's out there that DEI has been around even before the civil rights movement of the 60s. But because it was in a highlighted on 2020 when we had the George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor incident, and we were all sheltered in because of the pandemic, it made it very, very visible to each and every person around the world. So then those pressures allowed us to make up statements that we wanted to put on our website and have these policies put in place, but there was little to no training of the people. There was little to no understanding of the officers and the chief diversity and impact people who were put in these positions to make magic of something that we couldn't even make sense of. And so now what we're faced with is how can we get the resource access and the allocation of knowledge, information, and funding distributed equally or as close as we can, more equitably across the diaspora of organizations, industries, people, and policies. Because we have some organizations that do it really well and are very consistent and understand it. They also may be in a particular region that's different from yours, be in a different industry from yours. So how can we look at these barriers and eliminate them collectively to ensure that the resources are available to the people? It's in scenarios and settings like this and LinkedIn where we do our work. So we're going to talk about that in step one in just a bit. And then the knowledge difference. All of us are on our own journey. We have lived experiences and experiences that we have from school books and Life of Hard Knocks, where the knowledge is so different that everyone cannot learn DEI or make changes at the same level because we are all inherently different. Each and every one of us has our own unique blueprint. So we're going to talk about 4 steps right now of how you can activate your DEI plan. Number one, at your level, regardless of what you do, where you are, whether you are a housewife, a member of a faith community, or CEO of a Fortune 500 company, participate in DEI training. And if you are one of those leaders with people underneath you or reporting to you, encourage them to do it as well. Because participation in DEI training helps us develop the language, helps us develop the muscle, if you will, to have these conversations around the policies and the metrics that are important to our business. Number two, engage in these discussions and workshops. Sometimes people feel that it is harmful to them or it creates chaos and undue stress because they have a limited knowledge or limited resource available to them. And so what we want to do is have you leverage technology. There are major institutions right now that are giving away certificates. There are banks of communities that are offering community talks and community training from literally a real bank all the way down to your small business development centers that have this ready for you to deploy. Do a Google search. Eventbrite is another great place where you can find rich conversations and training around DEI. And then after you've done that, develop a cadence for yourself so that becomes continuous learning for you. Then we want to talk about what you can implement daily in your organization, in your life, personally and professionally. Sometimes being a part of a DEI practice may be, hey, I'm going to have lunch with the person who's different from me and one of many identities that I share, and maybe some identities I don't share. So again, that helps us build the muscle of DEI and inclusion, because once people are in a place and feel that they are heard and a part of the community, It makes it easier for us all to share and track progress. And so when we share and track our progress, what does that look like? I want to ask you to take all the performance metrics in your organization and lay them out in front of you. If you have to pause the video, do so. Next, I want you to circle each DEI metric that you find within your performance and productivity and financial metrics that your company is currently measuring. If there are no circles on your paper, then now is the opportunity for you to truly step into your DEI action plan and figure out a way that you can ask yourself, how can we tie this financial metric to something that is of an inclusive nature for the work that we do in this particular community or for our employees, etc. So let me model an example for you. A great DEI practice is to look at a metric that you have, like say in your recruiting plan, and it says we want to recruit diverse candidates from all backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. And you go and look at your performance to date. And if you find that most of your employees have the same identities, the same experiences, and come from the same schools, then one DEI practice that you can implement will be to build partnerships in community colleges and other tier 1, 2, and 3 colleges around the nation. And also go and have a conversation with some trade schools, go to some high schools and recruit students to come in at 18 and work for your organization and help build them as leaders. So one day they can replace you. So that's how you can take a DEI metric that you currently have in your agency and then see what is the DEI lens that I should use in this space. For example, if you don't have any LGBTQIA plus community members, board members, employees, customers, clients, partnerships, ask yourself why. If you have a supplier diversity program and there are no minority-led organizations in there, you can go out and practice that by actively recruiting some or creating a DEI supplier diversity initiative and run it through this process. Have an internal training where we talk about what supplier diversity looks like. Have a discussion in a workshop of how to recruit. How do we go and recruit? You actually go to the community of the people that you do not have representation from and have them tell you how to engage them and then bring them in as a partner. That's how you get to level 3 and 4. So the reason why I wanted to share this today is because I want you to look at some of these statistics. There are many out there, but CPP Inc. does a great job of consolidating a lot of the ones that impact us. So if we think about it, 85% of employees experience some type of conflict at work. Conflict a lot of times comes from what we call unmet needs or competing instances, personality differences, past rivalries, you name it. So what that means is the work that I do as the conflict chick, when agencies come to me, I know the DEI is a problem because 85% of their staff already says it, even when they're not saying it. So then you go, how are they saying it to me? Oh, you go and look at your exit surveys, you look at your attrition numbers, you look at your performance metrics, you look at your succession planning. And so from that, do we see that employees are quiet quitting? Do we see that employees are sitting in positions and just collecting checks? Or do we go to our break rooms and we hear the conversations that are being had when you're not in the room and when you walk into the room? Okay. So what we do know is if we can implement one new DEI strategy, these metrics get smaller. So how about engaging more employees by putting some employee resource groups together so communities that look alike, act alike, and have some of the same identities can get together at lunch once a month or once a quarter and talk about things that they need from the business and have them tell you how you can better support them. That takes that 85 down to 50, down to 20, and hopefully down to single digits, if not zero, at some point. 33% of your employees have a heavy workload, which is also a part of a DEI lens. So here's the question: why is a third of my team working harder than the other? So then you can look generationally and see what's going on in your agency. You can also look at work-life balance or work-life harmony and what that looks like. Here's a good indicator if you want some anecdotal data. Look at your parking lot at 5 o'clock on Tuesday and on Friday. Take a picture and count the cars. Look at the number of emails being sent to you and your team, and maybe ones you send over the weekend. That gets you to that 33%. And so using a DEI lens to talk about heavy workloads means let's get a survey together and some focus groups together and some listening rooms and hear from the people who are constantly working and what is not working for them and fix it. So these are just a few of the statistics that show us that if we implement diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at the productivity levels, the metrics we're currently using, the efficiency levels, the efficiency metrics we are using, all the metrics internally in your organization, if we use a DEI lens, we can literally take these numbers down to single digits by proactively doing it. So are there any questions that you have? If you do, I want to encourage you to engage with me on social media at theconflictchick.com, on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, for instance. You can even use TikTok. And let me know what you're struggling with in real time. I will continue to do these lunch and learns, and hopefully you've learned something. If you like this video, let me know, share it. Tell me what other topics are top of mind for you and what I can do to help make your life easier by reducing the stress and the mess that is causing you conflict. Thank you for listening. I am officially grateful for organizations like the ones you see on the slide here and those that are not even mentioned yet that I've also worked with over the years. My contact information is at the bottom. If I can be of any assistance to you, please let me know. I am here to help you create meaningful workspaces in places that matter for you. You will hear my son as my co-anchor in the background because as an entrepreneur with a family, things like this get pretty tough, but there are options, and diversity, equity, inclusion lenses help you see clearly as we march into our next year and our next season. Have a great day.